Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Poetry Thursday, little informal poetry tradition where some people read a poem and talk about it a bit, or just read it, and I invite you to think about it. Uh, I love Poetry Thursday, even though we seem to have attracted the attention of a booktuber called Wilson. But we're getting lovely footage of his adorable dog, so there's pluses and minuses. And I'm working my way for Poetry Thursday through this book, 20th Century American Poetry, which looks at the subject more or less chronologically. I'm just moving forward from front to back. I'm not jumping around. Otherwise, I would go straight to 1980, since that seems to be the theme of a lot of my videos today. But instead, we are in the thick of the Harlem Renaissance. And the next figure in this book is a Harlem Renaissance poet named Sterling Brown, who is important and an interesting, very interesting figure that I'm not going to read. I'm not going to read it for Poetry Thursday. He was the major artistic thing that he did. I mean, there's a verse of his that you could put in here that doesn't do this, but that would be missing the point of this particular poet. Was what was referred to back in the 1920s as traditional Negro dialect. And there's all sorts of really smart and really interesting linguistic choices that are being made. The verbiage of the poems, quite apart from their imagery or their poetic heft, the verbiage itself, the rhetoric itself, is really interesting. In many ways, a caustic commentary. But it just doesn't feel right. I tried it for this video. I tried reading one or two of these poems out loud, and it just doesn't feel right to do. I don't know why that is. Not quite, not exactly, not if it has to do with either the sensitivity, the racial sensitivity of the 21st century, which is a good thing, or the racial hypersensitivity of the 21st century, which is a bad thing. I don't know which it is, or maybe a combination of the two. It just didn't feel right. And that's unfortunate because the next figure in the book is Gwendolyn Bennett, also a Harlem Renaissance figure, but a minor one. So I'm passing on a major figure here in order to read you a poem by a minor figure. But it's interesting, and it's a pretty memorable little poem, so I thought we'd do that. I think that Gwendolyn Bennett is largely forgotten in poetry circles. A lot of these people are. Sterling Brown is probably forgotten in these circles too. I doubt that you could go into your bookstore and get a collection of her work, although I think she's a pretty regular appearance in any collection of Harlem Renaissance verse. So I thought I'd read just a quick poem of hers from 1927. This is Hatred. It's called Hatred. I shall hate you like a dart of singing steel shot through still air at eventide, or solemnly as pines are sober when they stand etched against the sky. Hating you shall be a game played with cool hands and slim fingers. Your heart will yearn for the lonely splendor of the pine tree, while rekindled fires in my eyes shall wound you like swift arrows. Memory will lay its hands upon your breast, and you will understand my hatred. A very, very sharp poem. I think that Eventide and Sky is a little bit of an unconvincing attempt at a suggestion of a rhyme. Maybe the author wasn't thinking about it. Maybe it wasn't an attempt at a suggestion of a rhyme. It's a tall, thin poem. And I, myself, I don't know anything about this author, and I don't know anything about this poem, but I can't help but hear this as spurned love, and not any other kind of hatred. Racial hatred is all throughout Sterling Brown's poetry, but I don't think this is that. Even though this author wrote poems on that kind of a theme, this feels more like the hatred of a lover to me. But still incredibly evocative, especially that final bit. This is 4 sentences, and that final sentence is really well done, I think. I thought it was really well done. And that is Gwendolyn Bennett. And then we move on. We're still doing the Harlem Renaissance, but next time we're not dealing with a figure like Sterling Brown, who was, I think, very interesting and kind of important, but is now largely forgotten. And we're not dealing with a figure like Gwendolyn Bennett, who is, I think, minor and also largely forgotten. Instead, we're dealing with a figure who's not forgotten at all. Next time, we will be doing Langston Hughes. So I'll wrap this up for now. A fairly short Poetry Thursday, but I'll be back next week. I'll probably be reading more than just one Langston Hughes poem. So I'll see you all then. Thank you, BookTube.